Hey, church, I am so glad that you are with us today. This is a pretty exciting week for us because actually we're wrapping up this series called Chosen today. So if you missed the last couple of weeks, go back and watch it online, check it out, because this has been a really fun event. In fact, May is our Global Impact Ministries month, and throughout the month of May, we're doing things to make a global difference. So we went down to Arkansas. That was one of our trips that we went there. We're involved in Kenya right now, and we're a church that believes that you need to put your hands and feet into the gospel. In other words, you don't just talk about it, you do something. And so just 2 weeks ago, we did the Matthew 25 challenge. And you're thinking, what is that? Well, some of you did this, and it was really cool. You slept on the floor one night. You ate rice and beans another night. You just drank water. Some of you who'd like those chickachinos, like that was a big deal for you to cut out coffee for the day. Then we wanted to talk to someone who was kind of down and out. And then the last day, we went for a 30-minute prayer walk. And I hope that you had the opportunity to participate in that. And if not, you can always do it at another time. But that's the Matthew 25 challenge. It's just to get us just a little bit out of our comfort zone so we start to think what it's like for most of the world who don't live in comfy homes. They have to sleep on the floor or on the dirt or on a piece of cardboard. And it just moves us out of our comfort zone. So that's this whole Matthew 25 challenge. And then last Sunday at Freshwater, we had this event called Chosen. Now, what that was our goal. We're partnering with World Vision. We want to sponsor kids. We want to make a difference. And World Vision is a quality organization, and they have a great way for us to get involved. And our goal was this. Our goal was to sponsor 100 kids, which I thought was a really good God-sized goal for our church. 100 kids who's sponsoring every single month, $39 a month per kid, for us to sponsor 100 kids. And I thought, you know, we can do this. I know we can do this. And we prayed about it in faith. We set a goal of 100. And I want to tell you, today is reveal. And the cool thing, like we've seen in the videos, the cool thing is that at Freshwater, not only do we sponsor 100 kids, we sponsored over 130 kids. That's a huge praise, right? Yeah, you can clap for that. That's a huge praise, over 130 kids. And I am so proud that we have a generous church that wants to make a difference. And so this last Wednesday in Kalapata, Kenya, the kids had a massive party. And the whole thing about this event that is so cool is that usually, you know, we go out and we pick a kid, and you pick the kid that you want to sponsor. Well, this whole Chosen thing flips that around. And what we did is we took our pictures, and the kids were able to pick us. So this past Wednesday in Kalapata, Kenya, these kids got to pick you if you're involved in that challenge. They actually got to pick you. And hopefully by now you'll get an opportunity to see the video, some of the footage that they put together of our church and these kids actually choosing us. And on this Sunday, somewhere around 10 a.m., everyone's going to get an email with a picture of the kid holding your picture. If you did this challenge, and if you signed up with World Vision, you're actually going to get an email of this, whatever email you use, you're going to get a picture of the kid that chose you. Now, I want to tell you, that's pretty moving when you see a child pick you and say that they want you to sponsor them. And as a church, that's awesome to know that we're a church that doesn't just care about what's going on right here in Waconia and St. Bonnie and Mayer and New Germany and our surrounding areas, but we care about people nationally, and we also care about people around the world. So that's just a great joy and a great honor to be a part of it. No, again, you might be watching online, and I want to encourage you to participate in the Freshwater Facebook page. That's for World Vision, so Freshwater World Vision Facebook page. You can go onto our Facebook page, and you can look for it, and in there's a group picture, and tag yourself in the photos, would you? It's nice for people to identify you with a name, so everyone's picture's in there who sponsored the kid. We certainly want you to put your name as you tag these photos. So Matthew 25 has really been our key text. Matthew 25 is that text that if it doesn't stir you to action, I don't know what will. If it doesn't push you and nudge you to take the next step in your faith in a tangible way, I don't know what will. So let me set this up. We've been using this parable over the last 2 Sundays, and we're certainly wrapping up with it again today. In Matthew 25, Jesus gives one of the most moving, powerful parables that he has. And in this parable, it's this parable he's telling a spiritual truth, a spiritual reality, so that his listeners will understand. And it's not only then and there, but it's here and now. So what Jesus said then and there applies to you and I here and now. And he's talking about the king. So we don't know if this is Revelation, talking about the great white throne of judgment, but everyone is going to be standing before the Lord. Let me just tee that up for you in Matthew chapter 25, starting out in verse 31. It says, when the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels with him, he will sit on his glorious throne. So we get this picture of God coming and sitting on his throne, and all of the angels are there. And all the nations will be gathered before him. So everyone's there. You, me, everybody. The righteous, the unrighteous, everyone is standing before God. Not doing TikTok videos, not at the beer garden, not in the bathroom, not sleeping over at someone's house. Like, nope. Everyone is going to be standing before God. And he will separate the people one from another, as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. Now, we're not talking about separating countries or families. We're talking about each and every person. It's going to separate him into two simple groups: the righteous on his right and the unrighteous on his left. Some families will be torn apart. Some neighborhoods, people who know each other, will be ripped apart. Everyone is going to be standing before the Lord. Nowhere to hide, nowhere to run. Standing there, some with great anticipation and some with great trepidation. He will put the sheep on his right and the goats on his left. Then the king will say to those on his right, come, you who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world. So this is the righteous reward for those who heard, well done, thy good and faithful servant. This is the reward. You come and enjoy this eternal inheritance that has been prepared for you since the creation of the world. This is God's story from the beginning. It's a story of redemption, and he invites everyone to be a part of it. And now people, everyone before God, are seeing their reward. They're getting their reward. The kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world. Verse 35, for I was hungry and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger and you invited me in. I needed clothes and you clothed me. I was sick and you looked after me. I was in prison and you came to visit me. And all the righteous, they're like, I don't get it, because we didn't serve a king. Like, we didn't see you at the shoe store. I didn't see you at the Dollar General. I didn't see you at Walmart. I didn't see you in prison. So they don't know what he's talking about. And then the king says this. The righteous will answer him, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and invite you in, or needing clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and go to visit you? And the king will reply this. And this is the powerful truth and powerful reality. Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. That you did for me. Caring for the poor, the orphans, and the widows is not an option for Christians. God cares about the poor. He cares about the orphan. He cares about the widow. He cares about those who have no voice. And he gives you a voice to speak for them. And right in this text, they're like, we didn't see you, God. And God is saying, look, whenever you serve the least of these, you serve me. So if you connect those dots together in a powerful way, whenever we serve the poor, whenever we serve the needy, whenever we serve the least of these, it's as if we're serving Christ himself. And God sees that. God sees what you do, and he sees what you don't do. But he knows that when you care for the poor, it's as if you're actually caring for him. Now, I have it good. I just have to admit, I have it good. Sometimes we'll say, oh, I'm so blessed or whatever, but God blesses poor people too, and he blesses rich people. It's not just a blessing to have something, but I'm blessed. I have it good. I admit that. Like, I have a house. I have food in my fridge. I have food in my freezer. I have a car to drive. I have a bank account. Like, I have it good. Even if I might not think I have it good, I might complain about money once in a while or whatever. But in reality, I have it good. And I'm always reminded of how good I have it. And I draw from my most recent experience because I've had a lot of experience in the country of Haiti. And I know this happens all over the world, but my experience and my paradigm always goes back to Haiti. One of the things that we do when we're in Haiti, I always used to go to like the American grocery store there. It wasn't an American grocery store, but it was a grocery store in Port-au-Prince that had all the doodads and knickknacks, right? Like they had the most options for food, Cheerios, cornflakes. And it wasn't like all 400 varieties that we have here, but it was like 4 varieties. And in Haiti, if you got 4 choices, that's a lot of choices. And so we would go there. But then a number of years ago, we kind of flipped it. And we changed things around, in part because my friend Daniel Jean Louis, he's a Haitian, he wrote the book From Aid to Trade, and partially because right at that time we had actually started to change our model. But what we started to do is we started to go into the local markets wherever we stay. And at the local market, you don't have very many choices. It's noisy. It's always 1,000 degrees. You can see on the screen here a picture. It's 1,000 degrees. It's hot. People are yelling constantly. It's noise. There's motos going all over the place. There's the open market. So when they butcher the animal in the morning, which is disgusting, and then they have it there and people chase the flies away, so you want to buy meat early in the day and not late in the day. But we go in this market, and I always assign people something to buy, like you buy some coconuts, you buy some oil, you buy some rice, you buy some beans, and you buy some charcoal. Those are kind of like the essentials that we try to get at the market, and a few other things as well. So we go there and we buy our stuff, and the people are so happy that we're not there as tourists, we're there as customers. And we want to buy their food that they have. And when you buy their food, you're investing in their local economy, and you're trying to make their lives better. And yeah, sometimes I'm sure they charge us more, but that's okay. We're investing in the local economy, and that's a good thing. But one thing that always gets me when I'm there is that you see this in places, and you wouldn't really see it unless you looked. But there are these things that are called clay cookies. And you can see a picture of a woman making them here on the screen. And these are clay cookies. And when I say clay cookie, that's a misnomer. Clay sounds like clay. Cookie sounds like, delicious. I think I'll have one of those Toll House chocolate chip cookies. No, not in Haiti. The clay cookies are different. It's literally mud, clay, that they put some oil in, and they mix it up, and they set it out to dry, and it bakes, literally bakes. And it's clay. Looks like a peanut butter cookie, but it's clay. And they're in the markets, and only the poorest of the poor people will buy these clay cookies. Now, they don't buy them as coasters. They don't buy them to put under their chair legs. They buy them to give their small children who they don't have any money to give food to. So for maybe 1 penny, you can buy a clay cookie or 2 clay cookies for 1 penny. And these women take it home, and they literally give these clay cookies to their kids who are crying because they're hungry. And the kid will munch on this clay cookie and have this clay on their face, and they eat it, and it gives their body the sensation of feeling full. But in reality, there was not a single ounce of nutrients in the whole thing. And what's most likely is there was parasites in it. Maybe you've seen these kids with these big bellies. It's not because they're full, it's because their stomach is full of parasites, typically from eating these clay cookies or other things that just where they get sick from. And you see these kids eating them, and it'll wreck you, and it has wrecked me. When I see these people making these cookies, and they sell these cookies, and you see people buying them, and these women are going to feed them to their kids, it will wreck me. And it's in those moments that I always realize that, you know what? I have it good. I have food, I have clothing, I have shelter, and not everybody in the world has that. And I also know that I can't help everybody, but I can help at least one person. There's at least one person out there that I can help to not eat a clay cookie ever again. And this time, it just so happens that it's in Africa, whatever the word is here. I have to keep looking it up because I can't remember. Kalapada, Kenya, Africa. I'm going to help one kid there not ever eat a clay cookie again through sponsoring these kids. Same with you. How's God wrecked you this week as you've opened your eyes maybe to what some of the people are going on and what's going on around the world? I hope that God has moved you. And I also understand that there are many of you, you're not in a position to sponsor a kid, and I want you to know this isn't a guilt trip. I want you to be able to celebrate with those who are sponsoring a kid. Because now is not always the right time to sponsor a kid. Might be for you, but it might not be for you. And I want to say this, you can still be involved in making a difference. You can pray that God will move in Kalapata, Kenya. You can pray that God will nudge people's hearts to step up to the plate. You can give of your own clothes that you have to people who need it in our own area. You can share things that you might not need that maybe you would sell on Craigslist. You can share it with someone in need. You can give a few dollars instead of a commitment every month. You can give a few dollars to a specific cause. You can get involved in some way, shape, or form. And that way, when we celebrate, you celebrate. You're still part of the celebration. You might not have sponsored a kid, but you know that you've been touched and you've been moved to do something, because doing nothing is not an option for a Christian. Because with wealth comes responsibility. And I believe that everyone here has a responsibility to care for the poor in some way, shape, or form. Might not be through sponsoring a kid, but in some way, shape, or form. You can serve, volunteer at the food shelf. You can help in some way, shape, or form. You can pray. You can get on your knees. You can do whatever it takes to make a difference for the glory of God. And when we all do that as a church, everybody wins. And we do that as a church, the people in Kalapata, Kenya win. And the people that we sponsored over the years in Haiti win. And the people that we help around the world win. And here's the amazing thing, is that whenever I get involved in serving in some other country or in some other way, or even going down to Hot Springs, Arkansas, or even when I go down to every third Saturday, or whenever I serve in other ways, I'm always thinking that God is going to use me to bless someone else. But you know what happens? Every single time, God wrecks me. He wrecks me. He does a work in my heart. He does a work in my heart. And he's like, John, this is what it's about. It's about making a difference. It's about making disciples. It's about handing people food and sharing the gospel, clothes and sharing the gospel, comfort and sharing the gospel. It's about making a difference and sharing the gospel. It's not just all talk. It's about putting your hands and feet to work and to be the hands and feet of Jesus. That's what it's about. So again, in Matthew chapter 25, verse 40, the king will reply, truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. And in James 1:27, religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless as this. This is what he says. This is good. This is good here. He says to look after orphans and widows in their distress and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world. There's so many things in this world that draw us. Why not let the gospel draw us closer? Let the gospel draw us to caring for others and showing compassion. Let the gospel be the compelling driving force in your life to make a difference for the glory of God. And I know some of you weren't able to be here last week, and now you're watching this for the first time and saying, how can I get involved? Well, we closed registration last Sunday at 8 o'clock for this big reveal party that they did in Kalapata, Africa, this past Wednesday. But there's still other kids that we can sponsor in that area. And to get involved, you just have to text the word freshwater. So here's the number, 56170, 56170. It's on the screen. It's on the screen, 56170. Just text freshwater. And you can upload the most epic picture of yourself or your family or you and your dog or whatever you want to. And now you can register to sponsor a kid in about a month. It's going to take a lot longer this time. In about a month, you're going to get an email or something in the mail that's going to give a picture of you being chosen by the kid in the same community. So you can still do it, and that's how. But from the bottom of my heart, I just want to thank you for making a difference in the kingdom of God by giving generously, by celebrating together what God is doing, by being a part of Global Impact Ministries Month, where we can celebrate what God is doing right here in our community and right here now around the world. So thank you, and God bless. Let me pray. Heavenly Father, I thank you so much that you're using us to be your hands and feet of Jesus all over the world. God, may you receive all glory and all honor and all praise. And everybody typed in, amen. All right, God bless.